Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Let's get into this video here. Before I say something, it's 13 hours ago. A whistleblower implicated Tim Walz in Somali fraud scandal resigned immediately. Let's get into this whistleblower. This happened 13 hours ago. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into the video here. More and more apps are going to come out. I'm going to drop more and more videos. Another one coming up. Elon Musk found something out about Ilhan Omar. We're going to get into that video as well. And it's showing the performance in dresses at the Super Bowl. Ain't something I want to see, so let's go ahead and get to the video. Alrighty, go.
We best to play nice. We want to win. We want the winning coalition to march forward and save the nation. Thank you for asking about the SAVE Act. That's exactly what the show is built on. And what are we saving the nation from? I want to cover this really quickly, and then we're going to talk about it with Congressman. Convicted Minnesota fraudster says Tim Walz and Keith Ellison were totally aware of all of the fraud. The whistleblower, who's in jail, says that Tim Walz and Keith Ellison were getting paid, baby. Convicted Minnesota fraudster alleges Walz and Ellison were aware of widespread fraud, and they took a cut. Minnesota woman convicted of one of the state's largest fraud schemes alleges in a jailhouse interview that Tim Walz and Attorney General Ellison were aware of the widespread fraud. The federal prosecution stepped in. Amy Bach, former head of the nonprofit Feeding Our Future, spoke to Fox News from the Shelburne County Jail in Minnesota, claiming that officials knew of the officials continued approving and paying claims after concerns were raised of potential fraud. Bach alleged that state-approved program sponsors were responsible for monitoring the claims, but officials repeatedly failed to investigate or stop suspicious companies, even after she flagged them. Goodness gracious. I honestly believe Keith Ellison and Governor Walz need to be held accountable. There needs to be an investigation. If they weren't aware, that's concerning, she told Fox News. I believe the governor's office, Keith Ellison, were aware. All right. Let's go ahead and do the news clip. I don't want to take away from the congressman. Just very quickly here. There's a Fox News exclusive, so I want to play it for you. Let's go.
And a Fox News alert also in Minnesota. The convicted ringleader of one of the state's biggest fraud schemes is speaking to Fox News from behind bars. Now, she believes that the scam was no surprise to local Democratic leaders, and she's naming names. She spoke to Alexis McAdams. Hi, Alexis.
Hey, Dana. Yeah, so everywhere you look in the state of Minnesota, right, there seems to be another fraud scam. So this one involves Amy Bach. She's a Minnesota woman convicted of fraud for taking taxpayer money that was meant to feed hungry kids. But listen to this. Bach tells me the real issue here is the state of Minnesota, which she says kept giving scammers your taxpayer money even after they were flagged as fraudsters.
I have to believe that the governor's office and Keith Ellison's office were aware of this. They've said they were involved in helping the FBI. They've said they were made aware. But apparently I'm scary, so they couldn't do anything.
So Bach ran this nonprofit called Feeding Our Future. You might have heard of it. It was one of dozens convicted in this $250 million scam. You can see her mug.
Great. Good. Please continue to focus on Minnesota. JD Vance was there yesterday. Feeding Our Future is just the tip of the iceberg. A reminder that Ilhan Omar has a direct connection to that organization. She literally worked there. She passed legislation to ensure that they could get unlimited, infinite money from the feds. She's the one who passed the Meals Act, Ilhan Omar. And then her friends started scamming under the Meals Act. Zooming in now domestically, because obviously I think that there has been such a wide attention vector on wars and other conflicts throughout the earth. And many people here in America are saying, okay, now it's time for some America First policies. However, while we're focusing on wars in Gaza or Ukraine or Greenland or potential conflicts in Taiwan, there's like a straight up insurrection going on in Minnesota. And now there's whistleblowers out saying that like Tim Walz and Keith Ellison are in on the fraud. There's audio tapes of Keith Ellison effectively taking bribes. Keith Ellison's wife worked for the judge yesterday that refused to sign off on the Don Lemon arrest warrant. What a cesspool in Minnesota. What do you make of it, Congressman?
Yeah, the level of corruption in democratic states and quite frankly in the deep state in our country is just beyond the pale. It's taken years to try to get some of these bad actors out. You saw the weaponization of the intel community with the Russia collusion hoax when Trump first came into office. And now you're seeing the systematic defrauding of the American taxpayer of all of these different welfare programs throughout Democratic states. There's no way that the leaders, Waltz and the leaders of these states and cities, didn't know that this type of behavior was going on. I surely hope that Pam Bondi and the DOJ is looking at this, and if there is any cause whatsoever to be able to charge these people for fraud, let's do it. I mean, they're in my opinion, Waltz and the mayor of Minneapolis are obstructing justice by not cooperating with ICE in a legal federal law enforcement function and operation. To me, that is grounds to take these people, at least remove them from their office, charge them with obstruction, something. I mean, you can't just ignore federal laws and not allow federal law enforcement officers to come into your state or your cities to operate. And then you add on all this fraud and all these welfare programs. Scott Bessent the other day, the Treasury Secretary, was saying that he believes that 10% of our budget is fraud. The number, that's like billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud all across the country in all these different programs. And the majority of this fraud are in Democratic states because they dole out all these programs without looking into seeing if these people actually qualify. And Minnesota is a great example of that. And we're paying for it. Floridians are paying for all of this.
That's exactly right. I think that people don't understand exactly how the federal budget works. Perhaps you could educate them. They say that Minnesota or California, those are just liberal hellholes and they can light money on fire. That's not true. The vast majority of the money they're getting are federal dollars. They're our dollars from Florida.
Yeah, they expand Medicaid. They do all these federal programs. There's a match. So obviously the city or the state's matching some of that. But the majority of that money comes from federal taxpayers.
Yes.
I don't know the numbers. I don't have them in front of me. But I would imagine that those are... Florida is a donor state. We give more money to the federal treasury than we get back because we haven't expanded Medicaid. We don't have fraud in our systems because our entire state is run by Republicans. But in Democratic states like New York, California, and Minnesota, I can guarantee you they're a receiver state in the sense that they get more money in federal benefits than they expend into the treasury because of all of this fraud and all of these programs.
This is completely out of whack, completely out of balance. Right now, we are focused on getting ICE out of the state. And of course, we will use every lever that we have. We ask people around the country to talk to their Republican representatives to make clear that this is not the America that is ours. This has got to stop.
Amy Klobuchar is one step closer to running for governor in Minnesota, and her first order of business appears to be trying to remove ICE from the state. Officers have been getting illegal violent offenders off the street, but Minnesota's leaders were the first, of course, to trash federal law enforcement after today's shooting. Congressman Byron Donalds joins me now to weigh in on all of it. Congressman, welcome to the show. You're running for governor of the state I'm in, the free state of Florida, right here. So I just want to start by getting your response to Amy Klobuchar there, who a lot of people think will be running for governor of Minnesota.
Amy should have turned around and talked to the mayor of Minneapolis because it's his rhetoric, the rhetoric of Governor Tim Walz, and so many other Minnesota officials